Mitch, a couple of years ago, uh, you were having a lot of, I remember, medical issues, very troublesome issues where you couldn't get to the bottom. The doctors couldn't figure out what was happening to you. And this has been an ongoing saga. Could you tell me about this, please?
Well, actually, it all began a couple of years ago because I've always gotten around by bicycle. My primary means of transport was always a bicycle. And suddenly, about a year and a half ago, I couldn't get around by bicycle anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had thought, and I had terrible pain in my stomach when I bicycled. Yeah. So I had thought that it was just like acid reflux. Mm-hmm. So I went through a whole series of tests and procedures and all kinds of foolishness. And there was nothing. So the gastroenterologist said, I think we're missing something real here. So I think you need to go to see a cardiologist. Mm. And so my youngest sister had died this was a year ago now. My youngest sister had died from heart stuff that she didn't know that she had. Mm. Turns out she'd had a heart attack. She didn't know about it. And we have a history of it. And so when the doctor said I should go to see a cardiologist, I said, you know what? There just might be something to this. Mm. So just to cut to the most important part of the story, I got sent for an angiogram. Everybody thought I just had some mildly blocked arteries, clear the arteries, and then my life goes back to normal. When they go in, they find out that my arteries are 100% blocked. There is absolutely no blood flowing.
Jesus.
So, and it was just, blood trickling out in small like vein type things. So I had to go for I was told immediately I needed to have bypass surgery. A couple of weeks away. And during that couple of weeks, I was to do as little as possible. Yeah. Because anything could kill me. Yeah. So, the surgeon said, if you want to have a heart attack, I suggest you ride a bicycle or get on a plane, which I was planning on doing. Yeah. So and this surgeon was absolutely wonderful, friendly, personable. He was great. And so I have the surgery, and he had warned me. He was a really wonderful person who explained that, the surgeon was having bypass surgery, which is so common, but it doesn't matter. It's common for surgeons. It isn't common for me. Yeah. For every person, it's an individual, confrontation with death. And he told me, he phrased it to me just that way, that I'm going to go through all kinds of stuff while I go through this. I'll have the surgery, and then when I come out, I'm going to feel great, because I've confronted death and I won. And then it's going to hit me that there's a recovery period. It's going to get depressed. And then while I'm recovering, it's going to be like, I went through all this. What's it for? And it turned out that all that stuff was true. But what happened was, because, everything has to be in books or a film, or books and films. Before going into surgery, I read the Stoics. If you think you might die, which is a distinct possibility with, quadruple bypass, you read the Stoics. I didn't exist before I was born. I won't exist afterwards. Life doesn't matter. Death doesn't matter. Okay. And so I have the surgery. It turns out I was in worse shape than we thought. They couldn't do quadruple bypass. And I come out, I'm feeling great. Then things went really south very quickly. And I was walking because I wanted to get out of the hospital. You have to be able to walk. And all of a sudden, I was suffering from atrial fibrillation. My heart was beating at 189 beats a minute.
Jesus. It's hard to imagine.
And it wouldn't stop. Yeah. It couldn't get my heart to go back into a normal rate. It was fluctuating wildly. And I was this was it. I thought I was going to die because I thought I was going to blow up the grafts that were done. This was going to be it. And the Stoics, I realized at that, and I really thought I was going to die. I was in a state of absolute sheer panic. And right then, the Stoics go right out the window. Right out the window. Because the flaw, which is a really obvious one in Stoic philosophy, is, yes, I didn't exist before I was born, and no, I won't exist after, but I do exist now.
Yeah.
And that makes a difference.
somewhat.
But also what had happened was before I'd gone in the hospital, I had prepared a list of people that Joan should keep abreast of what was going on.
Yeah,
And I thought it was going to be like 6 people.
yeah,
One of those people was going, I got no friends, blah, blah, blah. Well, it turned out I had 31 people or something, more than that,
yeah,
that Joan needed to keep, was going to need to tell what was going on. And I was getting all these phone calls before the surgery, and people emailing me before the surgery. And so I had the epiphany that, I don't want to die. I mean, it might seem stupid and it might seem simple, but I really did not want to die.
yeah,
And I didn't want to die, not just because I still feel I have other things I could do, that there's still articles for me to write, there's still other things to do. It was, given the way people had reacted, it brought it home to me that, I had made a difference in so many people's lives, just as they made a difference in mine.
yeah,
And I just thought it would be terrible not to experience that anymore.
yeah,
And then it hit me that, yes, the Stoics, you can study them in school, you can teach yourself, Latin and Greek so that you can understand what they're saying. But I suddenly felt like George Bailey in It's a Wonderful Life.
yeah,
Because just like George Bailey, it's Clarence, the angel tells him, when he sees the world without him, that everybody touches so many lives, and when you're not there, you leave this huge hole in them. And I realized that was exactly right. And that at the end, where Clarence writes in the copy of Tom Sawyer, I think it is, no man is a failure who has friends. And I never thought of myself as a failure. But this year we rewatched the film, and I was like, Joan and I, we were crying like babies. And I tell everybody that what got me through everything, but I haven't finished, was, my friends, because I had the surgery and there were all kinds of complications. So instead of 5 days in the hospital, I spent 2 weeks. I was filling up with fluids. It was a mess. It was a horrible situation. And then in the middle, like the 10th day I'm in the hospital, maybe a little bit less, I wake up and I can't see very clearly out of my left eye. I tell the nurse, and she goes, you realize what I have to do now? And I said, what? She goes, you just told me you can't see out of your eye. I have to call a stroke code. I got to call in neurology, and we have to rush you in for a CAT scan. My eye got worse. I hadn't had a stroke, but this was on a Wednesday. By Friday, I can barely see anything out of my left eye. They call ophthalmology to look at me, and they tell me that what happened was I had an embolism. A blood clot had flown and cut off the circulation in my eye, and had partially blinded me.
yeah,
Okay. So, I'm figuring, what am I going to do? I can't do anything about it. I'll buy a patch and I'll just do shtick. I'll be like a pirate, and it'll be great. For Hanukkah, everybody can get me pirate hats and a parrot. It'll be fine. But when I get out of the hospital, I go to see my ophthalmologist, and he goes, no, that's not what it is. You had a stroke in your eye.
weird.
Well, it's weird. And I was told I was sent to a specialist in this condition, a neuro-ophthalmologist, who said, well, there's a 30% chance that the eyesight will come back spontaneously. But there's a 20% chance that you'll lose sight in the other eye. So now it's 2 weeks from surgery, and I've already had this horrible, near-death experience, and now I'm half blind. I go home, I'm start doing my walking around, and then suddenly I'm feeling horrible pain in my stomach. I'm throwing up coffee grinds. All my doctor friends say, you better call an ambulance. Sure enough, I go into the hospital, and I have abscess in my gut. And if I would have stalled, then it could have gone septic, and then I would have died from that. So I'm in the hospital for another week. So three weeks in the hospital, essentially straight, I start losing all tone in all my muscles. I could barely walk. I can barely use my arms. It's the reason, by the way, I have a beard. I just couldn't even stand up to shave.
Yeah.
And I'm working at it. And then I wake up one day in August, and the same fogginess I'd seen in the left eye, I feel in the right eye.
Right.
I get in touch with my ophthalmologist. He says, you better come in. And sure enough, it's in the 20% of cases that I said where it goes in the other eye, I'd lost 40% of the vision in my right eye now.
Right.
Okay. But now I'm much less happy about all this. I can't make two stick. I can't wear a patch because now I can't see anything. Reading becomes torture, the whole thing. And I settle into it, into this awful life where I'm struggling to read. My brother buys me, and I realized, by the way, I've never spoken about my siblings. That's how much they matter to me. This with LED lights. So it's like a elastic with LED lights, so it brightens the page, and I can kind of read. So instead of reading 100 or 150 pages a day, I'm reading 30 or 50. And then, so everything's moving along nicely, and then I can't breathe again. I'm short of breath. Turns out that as a result of the surgery on the bypass surgery, it had blown through my mitral valve, and I now had a severe case of mitral valve regurgitation, which has the blood flowing in the wrong direction.
Oh,
At
geez.
this time, my cardiologist totally freaks out, totally. And when she goes to talk to Joan about it, Joan told me after that she was crying because now I can't do anything. The least activity will almost certainly kill me. And this is, and so what I do though, on the day where I'm told all this stuff, I go home and I have like a choice. What am I going to do? I could just sit here and mope, or I can sit here and cry, or I have an article I hadn't been able to finish. So I said, you know what? I got to do it. I can't die and leave an article, incomplete, because they're never going to know that I'm dead. And so just after I've been told that, I can't move, I have to lay on the couch or sit in a chair, can't do anything, I sit down and I write for 3 hours, and I finish off an article on Saint-Simon and the Jews, for God's sake. Just what the world was waiting for. So I have this procedure, and now the blood's only slightly flowing in the wrong direction. And then I have another attack in my gut. I have more abscess. This is all in the space of 6 months. I have 4 hospital admissions, and I've lost track how many procedures. Nietzsche said, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger.
Yep.
And I realized, that's a great quote. We all know it, but I realized that one's wrong too. It's, what doesn't kill me is just waiting for another chance to kill me. There is no escape. There is just no escape. And, all I really want, I wanted to make sure is that I make it to at least 70. Because my father died at 70. So I want to at least outlive my father. The irony of all this is, I have a brother and 2 sisters. I'm the oldest of 4. My youngest sister died. And I always predicted, and I told them, my siblings, the order of our deaths is going to be, Stephanie, the youngest, you're going first. And she did. My brother, Bob, 2 years younger than me, you're going second. Fran, my sister, 2 years younger than him, you're going third, and I'm dancing on all your graves. Because I had nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
But boy, did I have that wrong. So I came out of this, just realizing just how fragile, all this stuff is so cliched and so, obvious, but you have to live through it to really understand what it really means. And everybody has been saying to me over the last 6 months, how well I've taken it all and how nothing, really brought me down. I published in the space of 1 month, I wrote and published 6 articles in the middle of all this. And people say, how could you find the wherewithal to do that? And it's just, I have no choice. In the end, and this is the end, because at some point this stuff is going to kill me. I don't doubt it for a second. This will be my monument. At my memorial service, Joan could play some of these, of these talks of ours. But in the end, what I realize is the greatest philosopher of all, and the one that matters the most, was Popeye.
Really?
I am what I am, and it's all that I am.
Mm,
So I couldn't, there is nothing that I've ever done, to sum up my life.
mm,
There's absolutely nothing that I did that I could have done differently,
mm.
because to have done it differently would have meant that it wasn't me.
Yeah.
Every choice I've made is a choice that I had to make because I'm constructed in a certain way,
Mm,
and nothing ever could have changed. And in fact, and this is like, I'm deadly earnest about this. In my entire life, I have one regret. And that's that when Catherine, my first wife, when her parents first came to America, came to visit us a couple of years after she had come here, they came and we did great stuff, fabulous stuff. I took them to my office and they met all kinds of people and I took pictures everywhere. And I really wanted them to have those pictures before they left to go back to France. And I didn't know how to unload the film. And my brother was going to do it for me, but I couldn't wait. And I did it, and I ripped the film. So I have no pictures from that trip.
right.
And I still wake up at night,
Yeah.
angry at myself.
Yeah.
But everything else, but even that choice was one that I had to make,
Yeah.
because I'm just too impatient to wait. So everything that I've done, nothing I've done could have been undone, could have been redone, could ever be, I don't rethink anything,
Mm,
because at the time it was what I had to do. And, there are people, who like me less than others do because of, various parts. I mean, I know I'm a difficult person and, I could be like, really angry and negative and everything. But most people really, those who love me for just those qualities.
Yep.
So even if I could change any of those qualities that I recognize as not like the best,
yeah.
would I? For people who don't like me and I don't like them, I should change and turn away from those who love and care about me.
Mm.
So, so over this last year, I've been forced to like think about all this stuff. And I've always thought I lived a really terrific life. I don't want to die. But if I were to, something were to happen, whenever, when something will happen, whatever, I could die knowing that, I accomplished most of what I wanted to do. A lot of it, I don't know if we've even discussed it. I didn't do it till late, but it was something I once told somebody. I was invited to a conference on Blanqui, as a matter of fact.
Right.
And so there was a young woman there, and she was like in her 30s, and she said, oh, I haven't accomplished anything. And I told her, my words, old man's words of wisdoms. It doesn't matter when you accomplish, what you wanted to do, just that you do it.
Mm.
That I didn't start publishing books until I was 62, that I didn't start really writing either to the extent that I do now until I was, it was 2018. So I was 66.
Mm.
It doesn't matter, because nothing that happened before makes the least damn bit of difference anymore anyway.
Mm.
In that case, the Stoics are right. Whatever's done is done.
Mm.
I don't dwell on stuff. I don't hold grudges, and as a New Yorker, I'm never happier than when I'm miserable. And God knows that life, gives you plenty of reason to be miserable and living through the world that we're living through now, COVID and everything. You got plenty of reason to be miserable, but I thrive on it. So, it is a wonderful life. I hate to end on so trying to note, but it really is. Life is not short. Life is really way too fucking long, in fact.
Yeah.
But, I've had a good one. I have a son I love. I have a wife I love. I have dozens and dozens of friends. I've read thousands and thousands of books and seen thousands and thousands of films. It's really what always mattered to me. It ain't bad.